Have you ever spent hours staring at a chemistry textbook, only to realize you barely remember anything the next day? You know that feeling. You go through page after page, try to memorize formulas, balance equations, and repeat reactions in your mind. But when the test comes, it's like the knowledge disappeared. I've been there too. I remember sitting late at night, highlighting entire chapters, rewriting notes, thinking I was learning, but somehow nothing really stuck. And if you're a student, a professional, or anyone who wants to learn chemistry efficiently, this can be frustrating, even discouraging. Because the truth is, if your study sessions aren't effective, all that time and effort can feel wasted. But here's the good news. You can study chemistry in half the time and actually remember what you learn. In this video, I'm going to show you practical, science-backed techniques that will help you understand and retain chemistry faster. By the end, you'll know how to focus smarter, tackle complex topics efficiently, and stop wasting hours on ineffective study routines.
And the best part? You don't need fancy apps, expensive courses, or magic memory hacks. Just a few simple changes in the way you study.
So let's dive in. I'll break it down into 4 key methods that make studying chemistry faster, easier, and much more effective. The first mistake most students make is passive reading. You open a textbook, read line after line, but your brain barely engages. Active engagement is different. Here's how it works. Before you read a chapter, skim through the headings, diagrams, and bolded terms. Ask yourself, what do I need to understand from this? As you read, try explaining concepts in your own words, aloud or on paper. Pretend you're teaching someone else. Work through example problems actively instead of just observing the solution. I used this technique when I was preparing for exams. Instead of silently reading pages, I would explain reactions and equations to an imaginary friend. Suddenly, formulas started sticking and concepts clicked faster. Mini story. Think about Japanese students learning complex kanji. They don't just read the characters, they write, speak, and apply them in context. That level of engagement is exactly what makes learning stick.
Pitfall/warning. Don't just highlight or copy notes blindly. That feels productive, but it's mostly passive. Highlighting alone won't help you retain chemistry concepts.
Our brains can only hold so much information at once. Trying to memorize a whole chapter in one sitting is overwhelming. That's why chunking is essential.
Break material into small, meaningful sections. 5 to 10 minutes per chunk works well.
After each chunk, summarize the key points in 1 to 2 sentences.
Connect new information to what you already know. When I started chunking my chemistry chapters, I could finish a full section and actually remember it later. Suddenly, even long, dense topics didn't feel impossible. Mini story. Think of it like grocery shopping. You can remember 5 to 6 items easily, but a 20-item list? Hard. Chunking turns that long list into smaller, manageable groups that are easy to remember. Pitfall warning. Avoid jumping between chunks without review. Each section needs to stick before moving on, or it becomes a jumble. Chemistry is full of abstract ideas, atoms, reactions, molecular structures. Your brain remembers images far better than text. As you study, draw diagrams, flowcharts, or doodles to represent reactions or processes.
Pitfall/warning. Don't just highlight or copy notes blindly. That feels productive, but it's mostly passive. Highlighting alone won't help you retain chemistry concepts.
Even a stick figure sketch of a reaction can make it easier to recall later. I remember a chapter on organic chemistry reactions. Instead of memorizing names, I visualized molecules as little characters interacting with each other. When it came time for the exam, recalling the scene helped me reproduce the reaction perfectly.
Mini story. Memory champions use memory palaces to remember sequences of information. You don't need a palace, Just clear, simple visuals to make concepts stick.
Pitfall/warning. Don't overcomplicate your diagrams. Too much detail can confuse you rather than help you retain the concept. Keep it simple and relevant.
Reading once isn't enough. Real learning happens when you revisit material at strategic intervals. After finishing a chunk, take a short break, then recall the information. Review again a few hours later, then the next day. Even 5–10 minutes of repeated review is far more effective than one long session. When I first applied spaced review, I noticed a huge difference. Concepts that used to vanish after a day now stayed with me for weeks.
Mini story. Learning a language works the same way. You don't memorize all vocabulary at once, you review it regularly. Applying spaced repetition to chemistry does the same thing for formulas, reactions, and concepts.
Pitfall or warning. Don't cram multiple chunks at once. Short, repeated sessions are more effective than marathon reading.
Let's quickly recap the 4 techniques that let you study chemistry in half the time.
Active engagement. Interact with concepts. Explain in your own words. Solve problems actively.
Chunking is break topics into small, meaningful sections.
Visualization. Turn abstract ideas into simple mental images or diagrams.
Spaced review. Revisit material at intervals to reinforce memory.
Combine these and studying chemistry becomes faster, more effective, and less stressful.
Here's my challenge. Next time you open a chemistry textbook, try these 4 steps. Even just 1 hour of focused study using this method can leave you remembering more than you ever thought possible. If you do this consistently, your study sessions will shrink, your retention will soar, and you'll finally feel in control of your learning.
If you found this method helpful, hit like, subscribe for more practical study tips, and try these techniques with your next chemistry session. I promise, it works better than endless highlighting or passive reading ever could.
Remember, it's not about studying longer, it's about studying smarter. Start today and watch your chemistry skills transform.